This is a copyrighted audiobook production of Music, Silence, and Noise, authored by Mohammed Saad Riaz. All rights reserved.
Music, Silence, and Noise. Introduction. It was 2019, and I was watching a YouTube video from the PTV archives. It was a clip from a 1997 talk show, Private Eye, hosted by the Pride of Performance winner Anwar Maqsood. Sitara-e-Imtiaz, Pakistan's third-highest civilian award, winning writer Bano Qudsiya, was sitting opposite him in a wooden chair. She was in her 60s and had a round, motherly face. A black dupatta covered her head, revealing some silver hair underneath. Anwar Maqsood, in his soft, interrogative style, inquired about her thoughts on the problems of Pakistani TV drama of the time. With her usual self-assured demeanor, she replied that she needed to talk about culture first to do justice to the question. She explained how she believed that TV dramas reflect our society, since people like to relate to what they watch. She also believed that drama writers had a responsibility to guide the nation and inscribe our values upon the viewers. She distinguished between the body and spirit of a culture by explaining that the body can be well decorated, but, like the sap of the tree, the strength comes from within. We are telling our kids that these pairs of jeans look good on you, but we are not telling them that if you appear for CSS exam, you will confront failure as well. What will you do if you get divorced? If your child, later in life, gets cancer, what will you do? She said. Our internal strength comes from the culture and religion, and the spirit of internal culture sits on morals, values, and religion. When internal culture starts to wither, the sap of the tree, in society, dilutes and fails to strengthen internally. This tree of society may show many colors, fruits, and flowers, but it is not strong from the inside. In today's culture, we don't tell our kids what to do when they face competition. When there are hundreds of girls around you, how will you confine to one? Who should you look up to if you lose your job? If you face an road accident and break your leg, what should you do? Questions in such situations were answered by the internal spiritual side of the culture. Our elders and caregivers used to advise that we need to be resilient and strong, and that Allah is with those who are patient. I completely agree with her. She identified a conundrum that we still continue to face. Bano Qudsiya talked about this over 20 years ago, and things have only worsened ever since. In my opinion, the contemporary schools are confused about the difference between body and spirit. Otherwise, schools and teachers are doing great. They are trying hard to bring the best of external culture, the body, to schools. But our systems keep failing to fortify emotional and internal strength. Only that inner sap will help our generations cope with the bumpy road of life ahead. When we do not know what to do, but are emotionally intelligent, we can use this intelligence to find answers. Pakistan is facing a severe challenge to provide a well-rounded education to all children, especially the underprivileged classes. Since most of us are well aware of the educational state of affairs, it is needless to write in full length about the multiple parallel education systems currently in place. However, the question remains, which of these education systems can produce a generation capable of doing new things? When it comes to the quality of education, private schools are leading the primary education sector. Therefore, the unique and advanced methods are mostly in the hands of private school investors. In some of the most expensive private schools, we also find examples of advanced STEM programs. They are, however, costly and inaccessible to most families. With a lack of qualified teachers in public schools, private school businesses are, of course, flourishing. As one of my friends put it, the commercial reality is more significant than any other reality today. Schools are commercially successful businesses. In low-income neighborhoods, there's an enormous gap. Among other divides, the disconnection between Urdu and English medium education also makes it difficult for Urdu medium students to thrive in higher education. Thus, bringing standardization and goal alignment to education is ever more challenging to achieve. If our fragmented education system is not aligned, we cannot resolve the lack of social integration. Private and public schools, alike, keep their focus only on the curriculum and on passing exams. And why not? Academic excellence is one of the primary objectives of school management. However, when schools have this as their only goal, there is very little room for soft skills development, other than what the textbooks demand. I am sure you will second me when I say that education in most schools in Pakistan is focused on learning by rote, and students are discouraged to question the teaching style of educators. Mr. Imran Khan, the Prime Minister of Pakistan at the time of writing this book, talked about an underlying problem with government school teachers in his book, Pakistan. A Personal History. He mentioned that making government school teachers public servants in 1972 allowed politics and inevitable corruption to seep into the teaching profession. Why would a teacher stay loyal to the schools and their job if the school administrators do not have the power to hire or fire them? He also quoted Sabiha Mansour, who called the nationalization of schools a bureaucratic behemoth. This crisis allowed political placements of teachers in influential positions. Teachers with good political connections, regardless of their qualifications, could get salaries and pensions without having to deliver any services up to the mark. Mr. Khan rightly highlighted that Pakistan has one of the highest public sector non-teaching to teaching staff ratios in the world. We now have government schools with no teachers in sight, but also others that are rarely capable of developing future-ready students. Although recent efforts of the National Commission on Human Development, established in the General Pervez Musharraf regime, have assisted in building capacities, the focus on the emotional well-being of students is still far from sight. There have also been efforts at the provincial level, but promoting empathy and helping students to thrive requires motivating teachers and offering rigorous teacher training programs. A lot has been written and said about these problems. Multiple solutions have been proposed, such as the new Single National Curriculum, SNC, proposed by the government of Imran Khan, and struggles for implementation are on the rise. There's a famous Persian proverb, Khashat awal chon nahd me'mar kaj, ta thariya mi rod, diwar kaj. When mason laid the first brick crooked, goes to a crooked wall. The masons have been irresponsible while laying the foundation of our education system. But one thing that I've learned in the past 10 years of my work is that creating a safe space for students where they can thrive is not as hard as it may seem. We do not need dramatic changes in systems to focus on emotional well-being and self-efficacy in the schools. It is an urgent, achievable goal that requires far less audacity than disrupting the whole system. It requires a deep conviction, and teachers can do ordinary things to get the outcomes. Teachers are the masons laying down the bricks for the generations to come. Therefore, they should focus on laying down the first brick in the right way for young learners. This can be achieved by individual efforts. Hence, the aim of my book is to guide teachers so that they can do their part to bridge such gaps by looking deep into their students' needs and play their part. The German-American psychologist Kurt Lewin said, "A person who has learned to see how much his own fate depends upon the fate of his entire group will be eager to take over a fair share of responsibility for its welfare." In an attempt to take over my share of responsibility, I am writing this book, and in order to make a positive change, you are reading it. We must have pure intentions to put our individual efforts to help the students not just to survive, but to thrive in schools. By focusing on their emotional well-being, teachers can unlock numerous capabilities of their students and make the school a happier place. There is another reason for writing this book: to promote reading culture. We need to keep producing books. 70% of the Pakistani youth is literate, and 94% of them do not have access to a library. Reading books was the habit of a bygone age. Today, 3 out of 4 Pakistanis do not read books. I have taken up a highly ambitious task of writing a non-fiction book in the hope that the culture of reading and writing books continues to flourish in Pakistan.
If you appreciate the ideas presented in this audiobook, please share it with your friends and family. Also, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. This will help the author to monetize this production. Thank you for your token of appreciation.